Hi, this is Legacy Handyman. Today we are changing water heater that I installed in the garage. You can see the water in the pan. That heater was had a leak, so it needs to be replaced because the tank is compromised. We already shut off the gas and we already shut off the water. Next thing, we're going to drain the water heater. For that, we're going to connect the water hose. And open the water valve all the way. Now we're going to open the TPR valve. While it's draining, you can start disconnecting supply lines and the TPR valve. All the tools and materials you can see in this video you can buy through the links in the description down below. You can remove this, kind of put it out of the way. We're gonna unsolder this elbow. Now we're going to take out this fitting from TPR valve. Once the water is drained, you can close this valve right here and disconnect the hose. We're going to replace it with the Rood Achiever Professional Series 50-gallon gas water heater. You can see the link to buy this water heater down below. Now we're ready to remove the old water heater. This tends to be a little heavy, so you need two people to take it out. And now we had some water remaining in the pan. We're going to clean it nice and neat. Now we're going to take out these supply lines. So to get clear on this is your supply side. That's where water coming in into the water heater, cold water coming in the water heater. This one is water coming out, and it's hot water coming out from water heater. You really don't need this valve, and we're going to delete it because it's another point that could be leaking, and you can see it was leaking before. Now we're going to cut it clean with the pipe cutter. The reason we're doing it so the edge is nice and clean, so we don't have to fight when we're putting the fitting on it. And by the way, all the materials and tools you see in this video you can buy in the links below. Plus, if you like this video, please share it. It'll help us out. We're going to install this supply in here. I'm going to solder it to this pipe. This is your hot water coming out from water heater. In order to solder it, you're going to clean it. Clean both sides as best as possible because this is pretty much going to affect your soldering. Also clean this side. Next we're going to apply the flux on both sides. When you're soldering, heat it evenly and then apply heat on the outside pipe because the solder will always pull into the heat source. And of course we're doing the same on the other side, the supply side. At this point, we're ready to put the new water heater in place. Now we got our TPR valve in a different location, which is like almost where we need it to be. So now with the water heater in place, we can measure how it's gonna go in. We can screw this piece of pipe, the old piece of pipe in there, and mark where we're gonna cut the pipe, which is right here. Because we're going to unsolder this connection, cut the pipe, and solder it right back in. Only thing, we're gonna unsolder it right here, because if we're gonna put the heat over on the next to the TPR valve, it'll melt the plastic and might affect the TPR valve operation. Okay, we got this little heat shield. Every time you soldering or heating anything next to the brand new water heater, you might wanna use something not to burn the paint or plastic on it. And this heat shield do just that. It prevents the heat transfer through it. So we're going to unsolder this connection right here and take it out. Now we're going to cut it at the mark. We're using this Milwaukee cutter, which is very convenient, and you can see where this mark is. Just put it in. There's the button. Nice and clean cut. We're going to reuse the copper, so we're going to unsolder this. You can see when the solder is start melting right now. That's where you're going to remove the piece using the pliers. Now we're going to clean this side of the pipe. Put the flux around it. Same process. Join it together and apply the solder. Again, the heat is going, the solder is flowing toward the heat source. So we're heating this outside piece. When you see the flux getting dry, you can start applying the solder. Now we're going to clean this side of the pipe. Apply the flux. I'll put a couple of turns of the Teflon tape and screw it into the TPR valve. Now we're going to insert this end of pipe inside that elbow. I'm going to use this little pry bar to adjust the water heater. Now the TPR, now this pipe is inside. Now we can remove this heat shield, and you can see we were applying temperature. All the stickers and everything are still intact. This is our supply line, which is cold water, goes here, and this is our hot water, goes here. As you can see, it's a rubber gasket in there, therefore you do not apply Teflon tape on these connections. As tight as possible by hand, then using the wrench, do a couple of turns. Same deal, tighten up by hand as far as possible, and a couple of turns with the adjustable wrench. Has to be tight, but do not over tighten it. Now we're going to install this apart and using the screw gun to tighten it with these little screws. Okay, it has to be over that lip, but it's not attached to it, it just sits on top of it. At this point we're ready to open the water and start connecting the gas line. You can hear that noise, that's air pushing out from the water heater into the system. You can open the one of the faucets and the TPR valve so the air will get path to escape. For this connection right here, we need to use the Teflon tape. The Teflon tape is polytemp gas. It's usually yellow in color. Or you can use the thread sealant, but also it has to be rated for gas. So we're using Teflon tape, a couple of turns, put it nice and tight. There's an adjustable wrench to screw it in. Once these two nipples are installed, we install in that flex line. As you can see, these hoses are flared on this side and the cone shape right here. That makes a tight connection. You don't need to apply any kind of Teflon tape or thread sealant on this type of connection. You just tighten it nice and tight, and it will hold the gas. Connect both sides using this wrench. This side is tight, and we're going to do the same on this side. Now when the gas line is connected, we are ready to open the gas and light up the pilot light. This valve is in off position. You turn it on pilot, you press on this button right here, and you press on this little piezo element right here. Sometimes it takes a little bit because the gas line is empty. Right there, you can see the pilot light is on. You keep holding. Once the thermocouple is heat up, we're ready to put it in the on position. When you let go this yellow knob, it should be on, and you can hear it just lit up. We normally leave it in a hot position, but once you start using the hot water and it's too hot, you can adjust it to lower or hotter setting. But this is our middle, and that's where we're going to leave it. If the water heater is filled up with the cold water, of course when you apply the heat, the condensation is going to start collecting on the inside of that exhaust pipe, and it's going to go down and it's going to start dripping inside that little burner. And for first half an hour, maybe an hour, you will see that yellow flame. This is normal as long as it goes away after the water heat up. After a couple of hours, you check this flames, normal color would be blue. At this point, we're gonna put everything back together. When you're checking for leaks, check the new connection and the old connection. You also check the connection on the water heater, make sure nothing is leaking. One more thing, as a final check, you open the TPR valve, make sure it's working. This is essential because that's how water heater getting blown up. No gas smell, everything is working. This is garage installation, that's why it's a good practice to insulate everything because the garage is not climate controlled. We don't really worry about cold side, but we put insulation on the hot side. You insulate it as best as possible, because this is where your hot water is going to start losing temperature. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel, share it, and like our videos.